Hey everyone, Pickled Dill here. Happy 6-month anniversary to the channel. Thank you so much for your support during this time. It means the world to me to be able to share these stories with you. To celebrate, I thought we'd do something a little different and explore what if the Pokemon Journeys anime was set in Galar. I have for the most part been enjoying Journeys, but one thing that I have missed since the days of X and Y is a more traditional series, where Ash travels through a region and takes on the gyms in the hopes of facing off in the League. And since Galar has sadly received very little spotlight in the anime, this seemed like the perfect opportunity. But that's enough preamble, so I'll just say this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's dive right in. Our story begins in Pallet Town. Ash Ketchum, freshly minted champion of the Alola League, has returned home in triumph, but now faces a conundrum he never thought he would: where to go from here. He is not yet a Pokemon master, but nor does it feel like he can begin again like he has in the past. Head hurting from all this deep thinking, he curls up on the couch with his best buddy Pikachu and flips on the TV. On screen is a battle between two men Ash doesn't know, each using inexplicably giant Pokemon. The commentator explains that this is the final match of the Galar Champion Cup between reigning champion Leon and his long-term rival, Raihan. Raihan has his Pokemon, which he calls Duraludon, use Max Rockfall, which causes a giant slab of stone to rise from the ground and fall towards Leon's Pokemon, a Charizard, but with wings made of pure fire. However, Charizard is able to dodge the attack by taking to the air, before raining down a flurry of spectral fists on Duraludon with a move called Max Knuckle. These stagger the alloy Pokemon before one lucky strike hits it in the back of the head and it falls forward with a force that Ash can almost feel through the TV. It then shrinks down to a seemingly normal size as it is declared unable to battle, with the victory going to Leon. Nonetheless, Raihan looks proud of himself and his team as he and his rival shake hands at the centre of the pitch. As the broadcast cuts to commercial, Ash's mother Delia enters the room and tells her son that Professor Oak has been looking for him. Always happy to see his old friend and maybe visit with some of his Pokemon, Ash smiles that he's on his way and so dashes out the door with Pikachu at his heels. Not long after, the pair arrive at Oak Lab where the professor greets them warmly, telling Ash that he has an opportunity for him if he would be interested. Ash asks what it is, and Oak tells him that he is on his way to the Galar Region to attend a conference on a mysterious phenomenon found only there, and wondered if Ash would like to accompany him as his guest. Ash looks a little put out at the idea of a stuffy conference, but Oak tells him that he need not attend the actual event, and while he is there he might be able to meet some of the region's gym leaders, who are said to be on par with Elite Four members in other regions. This excites Ash, and so he hastily agrees, with Oak telling him that he will come pick him up tomorrow morning and they can go to the airport together. The rest of the day is spent making preparations, with Delia gifting Ash some new clothes for the trip. Ash, in typical fashion, is too excited to sleep that night, and so is only woken by the sound of Oak honking his horn in the morning and calling that they really need to get going. Haphazardly throwing on his clothes, Ash forgets to grab his Z-ring in the desperate scramble to get out the door. Thankfully, he and Oak do manage to arrive at the airport on time, but only just, and so the pair settle in for their long-haul flight. 18.5 hours later, they touch down in Hammerlock, and while poor Oak is fairly jet-lagged, Ash could not be more awake, practically buzzing as a flock of Rookity fly overhead, and he exclaims that he's never seen that Pokemon before. Fondly, Oak says there will be many Pokemon here that he's never seen, but before Ash runs off to find them all, they first need to check into their hotel so he can get some sleep before the welcome dinner. Ash agrees, and so the pair make their way across town. Though Corviknight taxis are available, Ash and the Professor have had enough flying for now and so decide to stretch their legs and walk. Meanwhile, a few hundred meters away, an all-too-familiar trio sit together outside a coffee shop. It is Jesse, James and Meowth, all here on assignment to establish a Team Rocket presence in the Galar region. When the trio spot Ash, and more specifically Pikachu on his shoulder, they cackle that at last they will be able to catch the electric rodent once and for all, since it's a new region and a new them, so this time they'll reinvent themselves as winners. James asks if they could do that all along, why didn't they do that in any of the previous regions they visited, but Jesse lambasts him to stop asking questions and help them form a plan to catch Pikachu. Back with Ash, he and Oak are almost at their hotel when Ash spots the last thing he would have expected, a familiar face. It is Raihan from TV, and he is posing for selfies with a large group of admirers, many of whom Ash notices are girls. Excitedly, he tells Oak that he's going to go challenge Raihan to a battle right now, and before the professor can stop him, Ash is gone, bustling his way across the crowded plaza to get to Raihan. When he reaches the Champion Cup runner-up, Ash eagerly asks if he wants to battle, but Raihan suavely replies that unfortunately he's not taking challenges at the moment. However, when his eyes actually fall on Ash, a small smile crests his lips, and he asks if Ash is who he thinks he is. Ash asks who that is, and Raihan replies, "The Alola Champ," adding that he watched his exhibition match with Kukui on TV and was impressed with Ash's battling skill and his Pokemon, especially that one that looked like an alien dragon. Ash smiles that's his buddy Naganadel, and that his victory is all thanks to it and his other teammates. Pikachu happily cries its agreement, and Raihan gives it a big smile, saying that must be the same Pikachu who got the win. Ash confirms this, and Raihan says that since Ash wants to battle, why don't they have a one-on-one, Pikachu against his Duraludon? Ash agrees, and so Pikachu leaps down from his shoulder, but before he can even touch the ground, a mechanical hand shoots down from the sky and grabs it. As the hand retracts, Ash, Raihan, and everyone else look up to see Team Rocket in their Meowth balloon. The dastardly trio then recite their motto, while Ash orders them to give Pikachu back. Raihan asks Ash who these three are, and Ash explains that they are Pokemon thieves who always cause him trouble, but normally he is able to deal with them, except this time he's left all his Pokemon except Pikachu back at home. Team Rocket jeer that they thought he might have done that, which is why they chose now to strike, calling him a predictable twerp. However, Raihan puts a hand on Ash's shoulder, saying he will handle this, before lobbing an Ultra Ball from which bursts a Flygon. Wasting no time, Raihan has his Flygon use Steel Wing, slicing through the balloon and causing it to veer off course. This naturally makes Team Rocket lose their grip on Pikachu, and as it falls, Flygon is there for the assist once more, catching Pikachu and gently taxiing it back to the ground. Ash then pulls his partner into a hug before thanking Flygon for its help, while Raihan says it was all in a day's work for Hammerlock's resident Dragon Master, though for safety's sake he thinks it's best if they have their battle somewhere a little more private. As it turns out, Raihan's idea of privacy is a giant stadium inside a castle, though at least it is deserted aside from the two of them. Raihan tells Ash that this is his gym, though it's been a while since he's had a challenger since the Galar League has a way to weed out weaker trainers early on with their minor division. Ash asks if it's true the gym leaders here are as strong as Elite Four members, which Raihan shamelessly confirms, grinning that according to Leon, he could have been a champion in any other region, but he's happier here. This gets Ash fired up, and for the second time he has Pikachu leap into action, while Raihan lobs another Ultra Ball from which Duraludon appears. Raihan says that as the challenger, Ash is entitled to the first move, and so the match begins with Pikachu using a quick attack to size Duraludon up. The attack hits, though it does next to nothing to the Steel Dragon, with Raihan laughing that he expected better from the Alola Champ. Ash says he's not done yet, and so has Pikachu use Electro Web, with the little electric type somersaulting in midair and creating an orb of electricity on the end of its tail, before launching the orb as it expands into a net, which wraps around Duraludon's head. Once more, Duraludon shrugs this off, with Raihan informing Ash that due to its dual typing, Duraludon can resist electric moves, which admittedly bodes poorly for our young challenger, as he considers how Iron Tail will be similarly useless. However, our hero is never one to let bad odds stand in his way, and so proudly declares that even if Duraludon can resist all their moves, they'll just keep hammering it with everything they've got and sooner or later it'll topple. Raihan fist pumps that he loves this kid's attitude, so he and Duraludon are going to go all out too, telling it that it's time to enter the end game. A white band on Raihan's wrist then glints, and to Ash's amazement he sees Duraludon's ball glow pink and grow to several times its former size as Raihan recalls his Pokemon. Ash is thoroughly confused by this, until Raihan lobs the ball and from it emerges the giant-sized version of Duraludon he saw on TV. Raihan then explains that this is called Gigantamaxing, a battle mechanic only found in certain places around the Galar region, such as the gyms. Ash asks if he can Gigantamax too, and Raihan says that unfortunately not, since it requires a Dynamax band, which it looks like he doesn't possess. Ash says that's fine, since even without Gigantamaxing, he and Pikachu are going to show them their true power. He then tosses his cap to Pikachu, and assumes the position to perform 10 million volt Thunderbolt, only to look down at his wrist and see that his Z-Ring isn't there. However, there is no time to freak out, since Raihan's Duraludon has already launched a move called Max Wormwind, causing a purple dragon made of pure energy to shoot towards Pikachu. Ash grits his teeth and so tells Pikachu to stop it with a Thunderbolt, which his trusty partner does, letting out a fierce cry and putting all it has into the move. The electricity and the dragon collide head-on, with Pikachu's attack managing to stop it in its tracks. Raihan cheers that he's never seen a non-Dynamaxed Pokemon actually hold off one of his attacks, and that Ash's Pikachu is really something, but he wonders if it can hold off thrice the firepower. 2 more energy drakes then burst forth, entwining with the first to eviscerate the electric attack. The 3 beasts then merge into one giant spectral dragon, who roars with enough force to make the ground beneath Ash's feet rumble, before opening its vast maw and descending on Pikachu. The electric rodent looks frighteningly small in comparison to this behemoth, and so as its jaws clamp down on Pikachu, Ash yells at it to stay strong. Pikachu tries its best, firing off more electrical attacks which cause a faint yellow glow to briefly appear between the dragon's phantasmal fangs. But when the Wormwind fades and Duraludon is forced to revert to its normal size, Pikachu is on its back, unconscious. Ash runs onto the field to check on Pikachu, while Raihan saunters over, telling Ash that despite all the obstacles stacked against him, he managed to put up one hell of a fight, and should be proud of it. And so, if you would be interested, he is happy to endorse him for the Galar League. Ash thanks him for this, saying it would be incredible to challenge the other leaders if they're all as strong as him. With a laugh, Raihan grins they're not quite on his level either in battle skill or in good looks, but they should give the young man a decent challenge at least. Beaming ear to ear, Ash and Raihan make their way down to the Pokemon Center to get their Pokemon healed and Ash registered for the league. While there, Ash phones his mother and asks if he can have his Z-Ring and Z-Crystals shipped out to him here in Galar. Delia says she will try, but it will probably be a while before they arrive. When the call ends, Raihan admits that he wondered why Ash didn't use the same move he used to beat Tapu Koko during their battle, and makes him swear that when it comes time for their rematch, Ash will use 10 million Volt Thunderbolt, so he and Duraludon can test themselves against a move that felled an Island Guardian. Ash agrees, and so in return Raihan says that he will be happy to serve as Ash's guide through Galar, telling him they should head south next, since the first 3 gyms he needs to face are all that way, and on the way they can pass through the wild area. Ash asks what the wild area is, and Raihan excitedly tells him that it's an expansive area of nature, full of wild Pokemon from around the world, untouched by human influence. To Ash this sounds like paradise, but as he starts running for the exit, he feels a tug on his pants leg and sees Pikachu trying to hold him back. He asks it what's wrong, and Pikachu uses its talent for facial mimicry to remind Ash that he kinda abandoned Professor Oak and hasn't been in contact since they first arrived in town. Rubbing the back of his head awkwardly, Ash returns to the phone bank and gives the hotel they were meant to stay at a call. From there he is able to be transferred through to Professor Oak, who is relieved to see that Ash is doing well. Ash tells the professor about the day's adventures and his plans to enter the Galar League, while Oak chuckles that he suspected something like this would happen, and gives him his blessing to go off and enjoy his adventure, though encourages Ash to meet up with him in Wedgehurst before he returns to Kanto. Ash promises to do so, and so he and Raihan depart through Hammerlock Hills. Making good headway, the pair manage to reach the Bridgefield portion of the wild area by nightfall. Setting up camp under the large aqueduct, Raihan decides to teach Ash the fine art of curry making, with one of his personal favourites, the dry juicy curry. Ash is starving and so is happy to learn, though it seems like he is not the only interested party, since as the aroma of curry permeates the air, a figure comes waddling towards their camp through the darkness. This is revealed to be a bird-like Pokemon, with shaggy blue feathers, a long neck, and an even longer beak. Excited at this new Pokemon sighting, Ash ladles out some curry and offers it to the Pokemon, who comes closer with an obnoxiously loud squawk of Cramorant. When it is close enough, Cramorant looks down at the curry for a moment, before violently lurching to the side and attempting to swallow Pikachu. Furiously, Ash yells at Cramorant to stop, while Pikachu blasts it with Thunderbolt, which forces the avian aggressor to loosen its jaw, so Pikachu can slide out. Cramorant looks stunned at this exchange, its eyes vacantly staring at Ash and Pikachu, as if it has no idea what just happened. For a moment, there is stillness. Then, without hesitancy or any sign of learning from its prior mistake, Cramorant lunges for Pikachu again. This time the Electric Mouse is ready, leaping up and smacking Cramorant on the bill with Iron Tail, driving the blue bird into the dirt. Even now the dopey Pokemon's expression is blank as it lies perfectly still. Then, with a ruffle of scruffy feathers, it darts forward and attempts to swallow Pikachu for a 3rd time. Wanting to put an end to this terrorizing of Pikachu, Ash does the only thing he can and throws a Pokeball at Cramorant, as Pikachu blasts it once more with Thunderbolt. This combined with the previous damage is finally enough to put Cramorant down, and so as the ball opens, Cramorant is in no fit state to resist capture. As 3 stars flash to confirm Cramorant's addition to the team, Raihan laughs that he can't fault the water flying type for its perseverance, with Ash laughing as well that he just hopes it will be as devoted to battling as it is to dinner. The next day, Ash begins his training with both Pikachu and Cramorant, and though it does keep trying to eat Pikachu at every chance it can get, in the moments between, when Ash is able to get its attention, Cramorant shows that it can be quite a pliant Pokemon. Its single-mindedness proves to be an asset in these times, as it is able to devote its whole attention to executing Ash's commands, and through this, Ash comes to learn a few of its moves. Finally, that afternoon, they're able to pass along the Motorstoke riverbank and arrive at the city of Motorstoke. Ash excitedly asks if there is a gym here, and though Raihan admits there is, he counsels Ash to take on one of the gyms in the neighbouring towns first, since Kabu is the most experienced of all the gym leaders in Galar, and many trainers' league dreams end with him, since they are unable to defeat him even after multiple attempts. However, this only sets stars in Ash's eyes, and makes him want to battle Kabu more. Seeing that he won't win this argument, Raihan does the next best thing, and he tells Ash all he can about Kabu, his Pokemon and his battle style. He then adds that Kabu's gym requires 3 Pokemon to challenge, so Ash should probably head back into the wild area and catch another. But Ash says that he's actually got a plan already, and so tells Raihan that he needs to go make a quick call. Raihan wishes him good luck, saying that he's going to get a few shots for social media since the lighting right now is too good to pass up, and they can meet up at the gym in an hour. As planned, Ash and Raihan meet up an hour later, with Ash wearing a confident smile and a second Pokeball on his belt. Inside, Kabu is waiting for them. He is a middle-aged man with a lined face and greying hair, but despite his age, there is fire in his eyes when he sees them, and he calls out to Raihan, asking if he's here for a rematch. Raihan affectionately says no, since it's bad for his image if he's seen beating up the elderly. Kabu snaps back that Raihan is a young brat with no respect, but it's in the same tone of good fun that lets Ash know these two are old friends. It is at this point that Kabu's eyes fall on him, and the older gentleman asks if he's a young gym trainer in need of whipping into shape. Ash says he's actually here for a gym battle, and Kabu grins that his timing couldn't be better since it's been a dreadfully slow day. He then taps a few buttons on his Rotom phone and tells Ash to head into the locker room and come out in 5 minutes, since that should be enough time to assemble a proper audience. Ash looks perplexed, and so Raihan explains that in Galar, gym battles are a big deal, so it's common to have crowds of thousands watching them like they would for other regions' leagues. Ash chuckles that he's glad he doesn't get stage fright, and Raihan gives him a pat on the shoulder, telling him he'll be cheering from the stands. When the time comes, Ash steps out onto the pitch, and like Raihan and Kabu said, a large crowd is there cheering wildly. Their opinion appears mixed between him and Kabu, with the majority seemingly cheering for the gym leader, but that doesn't deter Ash, who at Kabu's invitation brings out Pikachu, while Kabu sends out a Ninetales. Pikachu starts off with a Thunderbolt, which hits hard on the Firefox, but Kabu orders it to endure the hit, before responding with Will-O-Wisp. Purple orbs of flame then circle around Pikachu, causing Ash to order it to dodge and get away. However, the orbs possess a homing quality, and so no matter how far Pikachu runs, they follow. Eventually one grazes Pikachu's tail ever so lightly, but this is all it takes, and the electric mouse goes up in flames, stopping in its tracks. Pikachu shrieks out in pain, and Ash tells it to hold on, ordering a quick attack. Kabu tells Ninetales to respond in kind, and so the two Pokemon dash forward, colliding in midair, before skidding past each other. They each then turn around and prepare for a second pass, but Pikachu's burn flares up again, immobilizing it, and allowing Ninetales to strike first, knocking it off its feet. Knowing that Pikachu can't compete in the state it's in, Ash calls it back and brings out Cramorant in its place. Cramorant squawks loudly, looking around at all the lights and noise with an expression of utter incomprehension, while Kabu grins that at least Ash knows his type matchups, though whether he can utilize them is another matter entirely. He then calls for a quick attack, while Ash has Cramorant respond with Water Gun. The dopey bird belches a torrent of water from its oversized bill, and this douses Ninetales thoroughly, causing it immense discomfort, but nonetheless it presses on, sharing its trainer's fiery passion, and so slams into Cramorant, sending it staggering back with a flap of its wings. This gives Ash an idea, and he tells Cramorant to take to the air just like Leon's Charizard did, since Ninetales won't be able to reach it up there. Cramorant squawks something that might be understanding and starts charging forward to get a running start. As it does, it spreads its wings and after a good lead up, leaps into the air and falls face first back into the dirt because it forgot to flap its wings. Kabu tisks that Cramorant could do with a few more flying lessons before it tries that again, as Ninetales prowls over and plants a paw on Cramorant's back, pinning it down. Things are looking bad for Ash and Cramorant until the water flying type's instincts kick in, and it does what it does best, lurching forward and clamping its giant beak over Ninetales' face. Ninetales recoils, stepping back and trying to free itself, but Cramorant is holding firm and so rises to its feet and begins slapping at Ninetales' back, seemingly trying to force the far too large fire type down its gullet. Kabu has Ninetales try a bevy of fire attacks to escape, but whether because Ninetales can't hear its trainer with its head lodged inside a beak, because Cramorant is resistant to such moves, or because the bird is simply too stupid to realize that it's in pain, Cramorant gives no indication of giving up its grip. Eventually, Ninetales does manage to dislodge itself by slapping Cramorant across the face with all 9 of its tails, finally breaking its hold over it. But as Ninetales dashes away from its foe, everyone can see that its face is heavily bitten and in an overall bad shape. While Kabu and Ninetales regroup, Ash has Cramorant use Stockpile, knowing what devastating power the move can have if used properly. However, it only gets to do a single Stockpile before Ninetales is back in the game, using Fire Spin to set Cramorant's tail alight. As the smell of roast chicken fills the gym, Cramorant starts running around before scooting its rump across the pitch to put out the flames. When it gets back up, there is a small bald patch on its tail, but this is the least of its concerns as Ninetales slams into it and sends it toppling backwards. Ash considers using the second part of this combo move now, but knows that it probably won't be enough, and so has Cramorant hang tough and use a second Stockpile. Cramorant obeys, sucking in more energy from the air and swallowing another orb of power which rests in its throat like the first. Since it seems like Ash won't attack, Kabu has Ninetales strike again with Quick Attack, but this time Ash tells it to jump over the Firefox. However, this direction seemed to confuse Cramorant, who looks back at Ash vacantly, taking its eyes off the match and having its back slammed into as a result. Cramorant is looking pretty bad as it lands face first, yet still Ash calls for another Stockpile which Cramorant dutifully does while staggering to its feet. Kabu looks disappointed now, asking whether Ninetales pulled all the fire out of them when it escaped, and so tells his Pokemon to end things with Flare Blitz. Red and blue flames coat Ninetales as it charges headlong towards Cramorant, and Ash knows that this is his chance. With a defiant roar, he orders Cramorant to use Spit Up, and the blue bird does exactly that, belching up 3 projectiles of light which soar at Ninetales. 1, 2, 3, the orbs all strike Ninetales in the face just as it leaps at Cramorant, and on impact, the flames around Ninetales dissipate, and it crashes to the ground, skidding to a stop at Cramorant's feet, clearly unconscious. With the first victory going to Ash, Kabu recalls Ninetales and brings out Arcanine. Without a moment's hesitation, the gym leader then has his Pokemon use Extreme Speed. Arcanine moves faster than Ash can see, seeming to vanish in one place and appear seconds later across the pitch as it slams into Cramorant, its shoulder driving into the bird's long neck. But this doesn't slow its pace even a little, and Arcanine and Cramorant then both vanish thanks to the high speeds they are going, only for the sound of an impact to alert Ash to where they have gone. Spinning around, Ash sees Cramorant embedded in the wall with massive cracks all around to show the force of Arcanine's attack. Arcanine looks completely fine, while Cramorant shows the unmistakable signs of having fainted. Ash thanks it for a good effort, then brings in Pikachu. Even with its burn still raging, Pikachu is raring to go and so leaps into action, throwing itself at Arcanine with an Iron Tail. Arcanine, however, dodges with another Extreme Speed, vanishing and reappearing behind Pikachu, before dousing it in flames with a flamethrower. Pikachu shrieks once more as its burn mingles with those of the new flame to create a powerful blaze, but the gutsy rodent presses on, using this close range to electrocute Arcanine with Thunderbolt. Arcanine is forced to halt its attack in the face of this power, and so dashes away. However, Pikachu has no intention of letting it go, so hurls an Electro Web after, catching Arcanine's back legs and causing it to trip. Pikachu then shows off its own speed, utilizing a Quick Attack Iron Tail combo to speedily approach Arcanine before slamming its metallic tail into its foe. Arcanine howls in pain, so attempts to counter with Flamethrower, but Pikachu is there to meet it with Thunderbolt. At such close range, the 2 attacks explode, creating a cloud of smoke. Ash and Kabu both call out their partners' names, and when it settles, neither are down, but both are in a worse shape. Burn flares up once more on Pikachu and Ash asks if it wants to sub out, but Pikachu refuses, electricity sparking from its cheeks in a sign of determination. Ash trusts his best friend enough to respect its wishes, and so tells it to use Iron Tail again. Pikachu leaps up and somersaults to deliver a blow on Arcanine's snout, but the fire type is ready, using Bite to counter. All seems to be going Arcanine's way until Pikachu smirks evilly, and uses the metal tail as a lightning rod to deliver a supercharged shock right into the dog's mouth. Arcanine staggers back, its movement shaky from what Ash and Kabu can see as paralysis, and all involved know it's time for this battle to end. In unison, both trainers call their final attacks, Thunderbolt for Pikachu and Flamethrower for Arcanine. The two attacks clash in the center of the field, with both Pokemon putting their heart and soul into holding their opponent at bay. But then, Arcanine twitches, the paralysis kicking in and stopping it from producing flames for barely a second. But this is all it takes, and so Pikachu's Thunderbolt completely overwhelms Arcanine's flames. Arcanine tries to make more, but it's already too late, and they are overridden before the electrical attack engulfs Arcanine. When the attack stops, Arcanine collapses, taking it out of the fight, though another flare-up from Burn nearly does the same to Pikachu. Kabu thanks his old friend for trying its best, and chooses Centiskorch as his final Pokemon. The Fire Bug-type eyes Pikachu coolly, then on Kabu's command, rolls up and uses Flame Wheel. Ash has Pikachu try to stop the roly-poly with an Electro Web, but this does little good, and soon Centiskorch strikes Pikachu in the chest and sends it up in the air. However, the Electric type isn't beat yet, and so on Ash's command uses a mid-air quick attack to throw itself at the now stationary Centiskorch, striking it on the head with a headbutt of its own. Then, as it falls, Pikachu grabs hold of the mustachioed bug's whiskers and uses them to swing up and deliver an Iron Tail into its chin. This is sadly not very effective, and Kabu uses this opportunity to have Centiskorch use Wrap. Pikachu attempts to use Thunderbolt to free itself like it did against Arcanine's initial Flamethrower, and while this does its fair share of damage, Centiskorch remains resolute, squeezing Pikachu tighter and tighter, but this is not what decides the match in the end. It is another burst of flame from the burn inflicted by Ninetales, which causes Pikachu to slump forward and be declared unable to battle. Centiskorch respectfully returns Pikachu to Ash's side, and resumes its place on its side of the field. Up among the spectators, Raihan can't help but be curious what this third Pokemon of Ash's will be, and is not disappointed when the boy cries, "Lycanroc, I choose you!" In a burst of light, an atypical Lycanroc bursts from its ball and howls pridefully, while those who know who Ash is cheer louder than ever. Ash tells Kabu that this is the Pokemon who helped him win the Alola League, but Kabu says that past accolades don't impress him. He's far more concerned about the here and now. Ash grins that here and now, him and Lycanroc are gonna beat Centiskorch, since he chose to bring back this Pokemon specifically to face Kabu's ace. Kabu replies that is plenty of big talk, but he wants to see if this young pup has any bite to go along with that bark. Ash's response is in the form of an order, having Lycanroc use Stone Edge, and at once glowing stone fragments appear and throw themselves at Centiskorch. The Firebug does its best to scuttle out of the way, but a few of them hit and it is clear that each does an incredible amount of damage. Ash then has Lycanroc use Accelerock to close the distance and slam into Centiskorch, making the bug squeal in pain. Kabu tries to capitalize on this close-range attack with another attempt at Wrap, but Ash has Lycanroc use Bite, clamping down hard on Centiskorch's tail before throwing it away. As it flops to the ground, Kabu realizes that it's time for drastic action, and so recalls Centiskorch as its ball begins to grow and glow. Ash knows what this is, but is helpless to resist as G-Max Centiskorch takes the stage and bellows out a furious cry. Our young hero then warns Lycanroc to brace itself, but there is little one can do to brace for immolation, as a geyser of flame bursts at Lycanroc's feet, completely engulfing it thanks to Centiskorch's max flare. When Lycanroc recovers, it is singed in several places and its eyes glowing crimson, having gone into its rage-powered red-eye state. Ash then calls for an Accelerock attack, however instead of targeting its torso or its tail, Ash orders Lycanroc to climb Centiskorch and use the attack on its head. With a fearsome howl, Lycanroc obeys, charging in at high speed and gracefully leaping onto its opponent's giant tail and running up it like a ramp. Kabu had not expected such tactics, and tells Centiskorch to use its ultimate move, G-Max Centinferno, and once Centiskorch's underbelly begins to glow with heat, but then it does the unthinkable and rolls over, forcing Lycanroc to jump at the last second to avoid being thrown off. Not breaking its stride, Lycanroc continues to run up Centiskorch, but now instead of stable footing, it is like running on hot coals. With each passing second, Centiskorch's underside glows brighter, and Ash can soon see smoke coming off his friend's paws every time it takes another step on Centiskorch's burning skin. Little flames begin igniting now, though thanks to the speed of Lycanroc's Accelerock attack, it is able to stay one step ahead of the flames, though in this case quite literally, with Ash and Lycanroc knowing that a single misstep will lead to a fiery finish. At last, Lycanroc reaches the segment of Centiskorch that could be considered its neck, with its face within reach, and so the wolf Pokemon prepares to leap and deliver the final blow, only to be lost in a burst of flames as at once the entirety of Centiskorch's underside ignites with the heat of a sun. Ash calls out Lycanroc's name, his voice full of worry and despair, but this proves to be unfounded, as moments later Lycanroc bursts through the curtain of fire, crashing into Centiskorch right between its eyes. For a moment the world seems to freeze, then pink light engulfs Centiskorch and it begins to shrink. Amidst all the light, it is hard to see what the final result is, but when the glow fades, everyone sees Lycanroc standing triumphantly in the center of the battlefield, an unconscious Centiskorch clutched between its teeth. The crowd goes wild for this upset, everyone now chanting Ash and Lycanroc's names, as the Rock Wolf pads over to its trainer and receives a scratch behind the ears for all its hard work. Kabu congratulates Ash on a battle well fought, telling him he has a fiery passion for battle that few can match, and so he expects him to go far. Ash thanks Kabu, and the pair shake hands as the gym leader bestows upon Ash the fire badge. Later, when the crowd is all gone, and Ash is alone with his Pokemon, Raihan pays him a visit in the locker room. The Dragon Master apologizes for underestimating Ash earlier and suggesting that he couldn't beat Kabu. Ash shrugs this off, saying it's fine, before asking where his next challenge is. However, before Raihan can answer, a stern female voice says that it's right here. Stepping past Raihan, a girl that Ash doesn't know declares that they're gonna have a battle right here, right now. And that's where we'll leave things. Who is this mystery girl? Why is she so intent on battling Ash? And are more victories in our hero's future? Or is he cruising for a losing? Find out when the journey continues.